You'll probably want to add images to your pages. Now, in point of fact, you could add images to several places in Tangora, including in design layouts and modules, and they'll wind up manifesting themselves on your pages. But in this video, I'm going to show you specifically how to add images directly to your pages. We'll be revisiting some topics relating to Tangora's image archive, because when you add an image to a page or indeed anywhere in Tangora, you'll be using Tangora's image archive, no matter what the context is. First, let's add an image to a page that we've uploaded and resized via a category. To start off with, we need to decide where we should add our image. In the context of page editing, there are two possibilities. You could add an image either to an image placeholder or directly in a body text. The specific approach that's relevant for you will depend on your design. Now, you may be working with a section whose layout has an image placeholder, which allows for an image in a fixed position. I have up on screen an example of such a case, and we can see here that there is an image placeholder. The idea is that your section layout is configured so you could just add an image, relying on the section layout to sort out its position in relation to the rest of the content. But you may also have the option to add an image integrated in your body text, again depending on the section layout that you're working with. And for the rest of this video, we'll be looking at the process of adding an image in the context of a body text. So to insert an image, I'll just need to position my cursor there where I'd like to add an image. I could actually add my image wherever I wanted, and it will be integrated into the flow of my text. And now I'll click on the icon up here at the top, and we can see that we get a pop-up window with the interface of my central image archive. I can then find an image using Smart View filtering and perhaps change my display mode, and then when I've found the image that I'd like to insert, I could either double-click on the image or choose Select. Note here too that I have a button called Use Thumbnail, which is active if I have an image which belongs to a category that is set to create a miniature version of the image. If I choose Place a Thumbnail Version, the default behavior is that a full-size image will open in a new window if I click on the image. I could right-click and remove the link to the full-size version if I wanted. But let's continue now with placing a full-sized image. We can see that it's already added into place, and if we were to go into my central image archive, I would also notice that it is registered as used by the system to prevent me from haphazardly modifying or deleting the image. Now we've seen both where you could add an image and how you add an image from your image archive. So now we have it on the page, but there are a series of things that we could do with the image now. We could make our text flow around the image, and we could add a so-called alt text, which is an important text-based alter ego, or we can maybe add a border or a hover image. So let's take a look at our image properties then. Now I could get my text to flow around my image, among other things, if that's what I wanted to do, by right-clicking on the image and choosing Image Properties. And then I'll just skip down to Alignment and choose Right, and possibly add a margin here. Et voila. Now you may have noticed that when I right-clicked on an image, I could access both the image's properties, but I could also edit the image, which will bring us to Tangora's image editor. I'm going to just set this topic in parentheses for now, but the idea is that you could change the look and dimensions of your image. But let's return to the image's properties and take a look at what else we could do here. I have a choice for alt text, which is the text that you define to describe your image to screen readers and search machines. The default value here is the image's name. And you could change this value centrally in the image archive. But you could also change it here and override the value that has been assigned centrally. This is really handy if you want to reuse the image in varying contexts. Okay, by the way, use map is if you want to have a specific area in your image which contains a link, as opposed to having the whole thing be a link. It's a bit more advanced, so I'm going to skip over this option for now. But making images into links is a relevant thing, so if I hop out here for a second, I'd just like to point out that you may add a link to an image simply by selecting the image and using the link button in the text editor up here. And if you do this, as you can see, then you'll have some new right-click options, so you could go in and adjust your link or delete your link. But let's go back to the properties. Alright, border properties are pretty much self-explanatory, and then we come to hover image, which is an image that appears on mouse over. I could choose a new image here by typing in a few letters of a file name, which is a super time saver, or I could just choose Select, which will bring me into the image archive interface in a pop-up window, or I could also upload directly from my computer. There's also an option to edit here, by the way, which brings you into Image Editor if there already is an image selected here. Okay, so if I hit OK, we could actually already see the hover action here. And the hover image will also be registered as used by the system, preventing me from accidentally modifying an image in use. Right. So we've now seen how we can modify the way that an image behaves on our page. Next, we're going to actually quickly take the same process of using an image on a page, but this time we're going to upload the image directly from our computer. The point I want to highlight here is that you can come full circle with uploading an image to a category without ever leaving the context of page editing. That's smart, and it saves you time. So to add an image via direct upload, I just need to place my cursor and hit the Add Image button. Notice here too that, by the way, that my SmartView settings have remembered my last choice. Anyway, here I could choose the Upload button, and then I have the very same interface to upload an image as I have in my Central Image Archive. So I could choose a category and then hit Select and find my image and then hit Upload. I can, by the way, upload several images at a time if I'd like to, but then I'll need to go in and add the specific image that I want to add here as an extra step. But if I just upload a single image here, then we'll see that it falls right into place. And that's all there is to it. But hang on, let's say that I upload an image to a category that doesn't resize my image. Here I'll just save over the old version that I just added. Well, in many cases you may find that the image is too big, and you may be tempted to take a hold of the handles and resize directly, which is okay in a pinch maybe, but should actually be avoided. But fear not, because you can either upload it to a category which resizes your image, or just edit the image using Image Editor, which we'll cover elsewhere. We've now placed some images on the page, and we've got a handle of the flow of our text around our images and modified our images' properties. And we've uploaded images directly from our computer without ever having to even jump out of the page editing context. The current video was specifically on the topic of adding images to pages, but the basic technique is common to working with images in our Central Image Archive or working with images in layouts or modules. So, to really master working with images in Tangora, you'll also want to familiarize yourself with the different contexts in which you could work with images. You'll additionally do well to delve into Tangora's image editor, which we'll cover elsewhere, though we've already taken a brief look. Thank you for watching.